When you were on your own, did you have any other reporters with you, or were you servicing all the clientele yourself?
Well, Howard and I dissolved our practice in 19. I guess we agreed to do it in 1969. Sometime in 1970, at the first of that year, I think I went into business with a guy by the name of James White, and the other partner was Stuart Hughesby, and so we it was Brown, White, and Hughesby. So Brown, White, and Hughesby stayed together for a couple of years, but Jim White was a veteran from Korea, and he had lost a leg in Korea, and so he was pretty much full time. But he did have a lot of trouble with the stump, and he had to go to the Mayo Clinic to get it adjusted from time to time. And Stuart was a great guy, but he didn't like to work all that much, and I was, I liked working, and I got out there and I took depositions and stayed up nights and worked weekends and everything, and I was doing the bulk of the work. I was doing 20,000 while my partners were doing 15.
So pretty soon it became Brown and Associates.
Well, no, what happened was Jim decided to leave because of his trouble in traveling around doing depositions, and so he got an officialship at the Northern District of Georgia court. And he became an official reporter, and Stuart and I stayed together. So it was Brown and Hughesby at that time.
How many reporters did your firm eventually grow to?
Well, when back to the time when Brown and Worley were together, we had a great deal of difficulty finding a court reporter to come and join us. So we employed a young lady by the name of Sylvia Bridcutt. And Sylvia came in as our first associate of Brown and Worley, and then later on we got a reporter by the name of James R. West, and Jim West is in business today in Gwinnett County as his own in his own firm, and he and his wife run that firm today. But we were having, when Brown and Hughesby were together, we were really a great team. I mean, we had a great business. And I had decided that I would go with some friends to Germany, my wife and I and their wives and themselves. We all went to Germany on a vacation. And this was like in September sometime. And so we had a rule in our freelance office that, if people did good work and they were substantial in pleasing our clientele, we would actually give them weekends off, so they could take a weekend off. But at that time, the demand was so great for us that we would sometimes refuse to let people off, and so I had told Marcia Welch, who was then married to Bruce Welch with Freeman and Hawkins, that she could be off on the weekends because she did such a good job. And besides that, she was married to our best client. And so while I was away to Germany, Stuart got mad about Marcia being off that weekend, and we needed a reporter on that weekend, so he said, "You're fired." So Stuart turns around and fires the very firm partner that we got the most business from. And when I got back home, he told me about it, and he said, "Oh, don't worry about it, And so Marcia was fired, and Cindy said, "If you're firing Marcia, then I am quitting." So when I got back from Germany, Marcia was fired and Cindy was going to quit. And I told Stuart, Stuart, we just can't do this. You fired somebody that is very important to our firm and our business, and we just can't do that. So anyway, I said, you know, I've got to leave. And, you know, any reporters that want to go with me, they can go with me. Any reporters that want to stay with you can stay with you. And so that's what happened. And I moved, we had moved out into a location on the highway right outside of Atlanta. And he said, well, I'm staying here in this new location, because we had new carpet on the floor and we had it all built special for us, and a reception desk and everything. So he said, I'm staying here. And I said, well, okay, that's fine. I'll go back downtown. I went back down to the Candler building and just did real well from then on. But I was not able to find reporters. I mean, we were desperate. So I decided that I'd open a school. So in 1972, at the very beginning of it, I borrowed $5,000. And my whole goal at that time was really not to make any money from the school. I just needed workers. So I opened the school, and on February the 14th, with 9 souls as students, I started Brown Reporting School, Inc. And then later on, it was DBA, Brown College of Court Reporting, and I was able to do that because the law hadn't changed at that time, and you could call yourself a college if you wanted to. So I did, and so we were very, very successful in getting students in, but graduating them was a different problem. So I called, and I had some conversations with NSRA, and I would like to have them to accredit my school. And they said, well, you know, you got to teach this, that, and the other. And I said, well, I'm willing to do that. So then I put in English, and I put in medical, and I put in technology. And so I had a school that was going to be hopefully sanctified and certified by NSRA. And finally, the NSRA sent Frank Sarley and Doris Malden up to Atlanta to inspect my school and to see that we were teaching the required things. So they accredited my program, or recommended accreditation for my program at that time, and we were an accredited school maybe in 1974 or 5.